thanks again for joining us. This is week 5 of the DKMR Invitational. I am your host, Kobayashi Maru, and this week casting alongside of me is DKMR's Varanus. D2 can't cast
guys.
Tonight. Oh, how's it going? Sorry to interrupt you there. D2 can't cast tonight because
worries.
He won the in-house event, so he'll be playing in our best of 5. And before we get into tonight's event, yes, let me formally welcome my co-host, DKMR Varanus. So how are you?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing, Kobayashi?
I'm doing good, getting things going. We've got some great matches for tonight, so I'm really excited. What about you?
Indeed. Super excited. We got two really good players from 2 really good teams. mYm and DKMR being the top 2 teams right now in the open tournament circuit. Mm-hmm. So probably 2 players and 2 teams you'll probably be hearing a lot more about as the game matures on and on. Open tournament circuit being a really great place where I think the best players really kind of cut their chops and earn their pay. So
absolutely,
pretty excited here to see these games.
And you make a good point. Tonight, our challenger Ignite is a very strong competitor from Team Meet Your Makers, and this week he'll be playing against DKMR's D2, and then if he wins, he'll be playing against DKMR's Brad. And I'm going to just briefly explain the format for those of you who are new to this event. So each week, a new challenger will take on up to 2 DKMR players for cash and notoriety. The first match will be a best of 5, and if our challenger wins that match, then he'll play in a best of 7. So if our challenger gets past that first match, he'll win $25. Then he goes on to play the best of 7 for $375. That number has been growing for 4 weeks. It started out at $75, and Brad has valiantly defended that money each and every week. So that money is now grown to $375. So if Ignite should beat both opponents, he's going to walk away with $400 tonight, and he's going to have dethroned the reigning DKMR Invitational champion, DKMR Brad, which is saying a lot. So I don't know if
you guys have seen Brad playing recently. He has been completely on fire. He went 4-0, 4-0, and 4-1, I think, against Chalky, Reynad, and Wampy. Mm-hmm. All really good opponents. So,
and then he also 4-0'd
we'll see if Brad can do it again.
Yeah,
that's right. Z-Rusher, too.
So it's been an incredible run. Brad's been on fire, and now D2's been on fire. He just recently won. He got into the King of the Hill by winning the $500 Sunday Cup, right, for the NESL.
Yep, he won the NESL Cup on Sunday, and then was on the King of the Hill event. Beat Kit Kats pretty soundly in the first best of 5, and then had some close games against Impact at the reigning king on the NESL King of the Hill. But yeah, the D2's been doing great.
Let's jump to the games, and we've got players picking decks, so we don't want to miss any of that action. So we're going to jump into these games.
Not at all.
It's exciting. We're about to start, guys. This is the best of 5 between Meet Your Makers Ignite versus DKMR D2. And let us go to the mulligans. So Ignite is on the bottom and D2 is on the top. And it looks like we have a warrior versus a rogue. And your rogue is on the bottom, that's Ignite, and your warrior is on the top, that's D2. And that rogue kind of looks like a Miracle Rogue. Yep. And then that warrior certainly is a control warrior with a little bit of mid-game Argent Commander, a little bit of mid-game aggression. So maybe it's a little bit of tempo, not full control. What are your thoughts on the mulligan?
I didn't quite catch what D2 mulligan there. As far as what Ignite is mulliganing, I would, playing the Miracle Rogue, I would probably mulligan that entire hand against Warrior, knowing that, really one of your Warrior's best way to win is generally to kind of exceed the amount of damage that the Rogue can do by armoring up, while trying to create a fairly aggressive early to mid game if possible. Whereas, Ignite probably also knows that D2's probably playing the mid-range warrior build that Christopher and several of us kind of put together, and Christopher being the primary one making that deck, and D2 used it on the NESL Cough, and he Ignite probably knows about the deck. I mean, I'm sure he watched the Koth in preparation for this, so probably expecting a little bit more of an early to mid-game punch. Is probably kept that the SI7 agent and the backstab to try and deal with that, particularly having the coin that enables the SI7 agent here.
Yeah, give me one second.
But D2 does have the War Axe, which is going to help him deal with some of these minions, any early, like the SI7 agent.
Yeah, just fixing the overlays here. Sometimes the player's overlays are a little different, so I just want to get those right. Alright, looks like D2's bottom of his screen is cut off, but that's alright. So yeah, we've got Armor Smith and Acolyte of Pain. Pretty great. Those are great first cards. It's what you want when you have the Warrior. You don't want to get your hand clogged with a bunch of big stuff.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of the more mid-range Warrior deck, going for a lot more aggression than your general Warrior deck does. Still has a pretty decent top end with Grom and such, but this is an exceptional start from D2 here, having the Armor Smith, the 2-drop and the 3-drop. He's got a 4-drop to follow up with it as well. He even has the Taskmaster if he wanted to. It would be a tough choice between using the Taskmaster on the Acolyte next turn or using the Dark Iron Dwarf, but this makes it a pretty easy choice here to play the Dark Iron Dwarf on turn 4. Ignite's hand is okay, I would say, right? I mean, you really want to see that Auctioneer, the preps. Never mind, there's that Auctioneer's hand's amazing.
So now he's not in as bad shape as he was, which is good, because he did need that card.
Not at all. He really needed that card. So I would say having the Auctioneer, Prep, Coin, and Sinister Strike puts him in a really good spot to draw through a good portion of his deck. A lot of times, once you get to, say, like turn 6 or so, particularly having the 1-mana the Sinister Strike, you can draw out, at least 4 cards using Prep into Sap and then Coin, or go Coin first, and then Prep, and then Sap, and then Sinister Strike, and try to get into that Conceal, drawing 4 cards. So it could, it could be worth the play on turn 6 here. There's that War Axe I mentioned earlier to take out the 3 health SI7 agent. D2's hand's still really strong. But again, Ignite here, if he can get that Conceal, I think it's really going to put D2 on the back foot.
Yeah, Miracle Rogue's so strong, and once you get the Gadget and Conceal, it's a matter of time, and it's a matter of if the Warrior can armor up enough to stay out of lethal range. So it's a tricky matchup. But D2 is, he's in a good place. Looks like D2's cards his screen's a little messed up, so his cards are chopped off at the bottom there. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, he's got that 5-drop, so he can play the Azor Drake. Looks like, he's at 6 mana now, so yeah, you definitely play the Argent Commander here. And but this also opens it up next turn for Ignite to be able to use his backstabs really effectively. Gives him even more cards to play alongside the Auctioneer, try to dig for that Conceal. The Argent Commander being a perfect target for the backstab. So I'm pretty sure there's that Conceal right there too.
Yep,
so,
gets the Conceal, really nice draw. He's got Sinister Strike, so he knows this as a slightly more aggressive variant of the Miracle Rogue, and I think he's gonna, Sinister Strike, Conceal. And now all of a sudden the Miracle is a possibility.
And you could prep Sap here, but I think he's right in hanging on to the Saps. You want to save those Saps for a more impactful turn. Throwing back the Armor Smith here, it would only save him 1 damage or so. By backstab if he had prepped Sapped before he backstabbed. Which isn't that 1 damage likely isn't going to matter, and sapping a 1/4 isn't really helping you survive for too much longer either. It's only deal 1 damage. So I think it was definitely a smart move to save those saps. Generally, in any card you want to save it to have the most impact possible. So. And so here, it's not even unreasonable necessarily to sap the Azor Drake. You just want to buy time at this point. D2's only got so much mana to spend, even if he's drawing cards. Sapping the Azor Drake puts him. Again, you put him on the back foot. There's the Leroy. Drew in the Leroy. He can make a large Van Cleef. Unfortunately, if he does that, D2's got the big Game Hunter, so D2 can deal with that Van Cleef pretty easily. I think the play is definitely either to go for. I think you either play, if you want to play it safe, go for the Azure Drake. But I think there's a reasonable amount of upside as well to playing a really large Van Cleef. Even if they do have the answer, it often doesn't cost you that much to play it, especially when you're drawing all these cards with the Auctioneer. So you play a 12-12, they absolutely have to answer that, or else it's going to win the game. And it really, especially, again, in this situation, it costs you much to put that 12-12 out there. Yeah. So while D2 does have the big game hunter, and is going to be able to answer it, if he didn't have the big game hunter or the execute, then this 12-12 would just, or 14-14 would literally just win the game by itself.
Yeah, and I've noticed that the Van Cleef, especially in a Miracle, yes, it would be great to get that 14 damage, but more importantly than being a game ender, is that it basically functions also as a distraction, allowing you to deal with, force your opponent to deal with something. It looks like we're having a little bit of a problem here. Give me 1 second. Come on, guys.
Yeah, again, it's kind of a card... just relatively cheap for the impact it can have in the game. Really excellent card in Miracle Rogue. So it looks like Ignite's probably going to take this game away at this point. Yeah. Even though D2 can answer that 14-14, Ignite's been through most of his deck. The Warrior Miracle Rogue matchup is generally favorable for the Miracle Rogue. Warrior can tough it out there if they can armor up enough, but again, it's usually a struggle for the Warrior.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure what happened. The stream just kind of dropped. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see what we missed. So,
as expected, he shot the Van Cleef with the big game hunter. It looks like he
Taskmaster executed.
Yeah, which is definitely a good play. But I mean, at this point, at 24. I'm trying to look, what can D2 do here? So he's still got good. Ignite hasn't seen every card, but he does have one Shadow Step. Just needing that second Shadow Step there to really. Looking for kind of Shadow Step Cold Blood. I'm trying to think like what the best thing Ignite could do. I mean, probably you can either drop the. You probably drop the Azure Drake. And he's got 8 mana, so it costs 9 if you tried to do the Blade Flurry with spell damage. So, I mean, probably he could Azure Drake, Shiv is reasonable. That looks like we're having.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Trying to get this fixed here.
Azure Drake, Shiv is reasonable. Blood Mage Shiv kind of does the same thing. Lets you draw cards, is a little bit cheaper. Yeah, I mean, Blood Mage is probably a slightly stronger play.
As we can see, we've got the Argent Commander came down doing some damage. Alright, looks like we're back.
Gotcha, so he's got him down to 17, but I think it's important to note that Ignite through that Deadly Poison. That Deadly Poison is really going to help him push damage to get him into lethal range with the Leroy. And even if he can just stick an Azure Drake or a Earthen Ring Farseer, that could help him get into that sweet spot of 12 damage. Or, I mean, it's pretty inevitable. I think he's going to draw that second Shadow Step. So, I mean, really 18 is just where he's got to get into. That Deadly Poison should be all he needs to do that. Yep, and there he goes, playing that out. Is he going for the Argent Commander? That would seem... I would probably just go face. There's the Shadow Step, so...
Yeah, I think the Shadow Step's a good play here. I mean, ultimately, you want to finish him off before he finishes you off. You've got Leroy double Shadow Step. I guess that was... Well, I guess it didn't really matter, because it was an Argent. It's going to come in anyway. I guess it cost you extra mana. He's trying to take up that 6 mana that he would require to play him out.
Yeah, again, like, same thing with the Azure Drake. Like, while he can get that... He has to use that whole 6 mana. Again, he can't, like, see... He would have had Argent Commander here, too. He potentially could have done up to 14 damage and had lethal on the following turn. Just stealing that 6 mana away from it really puts you pretty far ahead, especially when you know you're this close to being able to win the game.
Yep, and with the Leroy double Shadow Step and the 3 damage from the weapon, that will end game 1. Ignite with the Miracle Rogue takes out D2 in this first game, and there's no amount of armor that will save him at this point. So
Indeed.
I'll try to get DT's
So
stream
again,
back.
kind of what you'd expect in this matchup, I would say. The mid-range warrior deck does have a little bit more burst, but a little bit more potential to win out the early game. But
Yeah.
I mean, not enough to beat the meta's nemesis, Miracle Rogue.
So yeah,
So I'm curious what D2 picks next.
he's got two options here. He's got a druid and a shaman, and it looks like he goes with the druid. And now that this druid has been picked, we can talk a little bit about the deck. This is a double Force of Nature, double Savage Roar druid, and he's got a couple Chillwind Yetis, a big game hunter, Argent Commander, Black Knight. He's got a Ragnaros in there, so he doesn't have the Stranglethorn Tiger, which is great. He doesn't have a few of those other tech cards you want versus the Rogue. So, it's going to be a tough game, but the Druid always has a chance.
Indeed, unfortunately, all those decks are pretty poor against Miracle Rogue, so this could be a clean sweep for Ignite. Obviously, I hope not, but he's got a good matchup in the remaining matches here.
Yeah.
The pleasure is mine.
Oh.
Here we go.
I can. By the way, we can hear you typing. If when you are done, you could minimize.
My apologies.
No worries. So, all right, guys. We're here. We got game one going here. Yeah, no, just the list. Just talking about the lists that are in game themselves. Since there's a delay, none of the lists that aren't being picked yet.
So the Coin on Harvest Golem, reasonable start, but Ignite's got a pretty fantastic hand here. All he needs is the Conceal, really, to wrap this game up, I would say. He's got the Auctioneer, the Prep, Viscera and Sap both being pretty reasonably strong against Druidish and get rid of the taunts. I like the play of the SI7 agent here. It really helps him. It allows him to deal with his Harvest Golem much more effectively. And really, what you want to be doing against the Druid is just dealing with their early plays, vices, trying to eke out every value you can from every single card. You're going to win the game eventually if you get your Auctioneer and just draw into your combo. So you don't playing the SI7 agent, being able to bump it into the Harvest Golem and take it out with your dagger is a really strong early play, a lot stronger than trying to get that 2 damage out of your SI7 at a later point.
Absolutely. And just working on updating those stats. It is 1-0, guys. Ignite taking the first game. And as you can see here, yep, the bringing out the Druid of the Claw in cat mode, getting rid of that SI agent. That's a nice play. You don't want to allow any additional damage. As a Druid, you're going to run into the Shadow Step Leroy combo in the late game, so you want to minimize your damage in the early game, and you're going to be rushing with your minions in the early game as opposed to taunting with them.
Indeed. Here as Ignite, on 4 mana, I think you definitely use the dagger to take out the 4/1, and then you probably just reset your daggers and pass. I don't think you've really got any other powerful plays. You could it's not completely unreasonable to sap the Harvest Golem here, but I think I would hang on to it for a taunt. As you can see, D2 does have that Druid of the Claw in his hand. Even without knowing that, it's usually worthwhile to hang on to that sap for
and
a
plus,
little bit more value than this. At least.
There are Druids out there that run a slew of big taunts, and you're not even sure how many this particular Druid runs, so not knowing the deck, it probably makes sense to keep that sap.
Yeah. I think, what does he see? He's seen Harvest Golem, he's seen Innervate. Sometimes the big ramp decks will cut the Harvest Golems, and so, you could put them on kind of on the more traditional deck. And, the ramp decks are a little bit rarer as well. So, if I were playing right now, I would probably not anticipate a ramp deck. But again, there is no reason really to just assume that and lose out on the possible value that Sap would have if he is. I mean, he could be teching one of Ancient of War even or something like that, even if he isn't the ramp deck, and then you can lose pretty hard to that potentially. Yeah. So.
And I like the Van Cleef here. You know, you get a 4/4 Van Cleef, you get to attack face. I think it's a nice play. I certainly think it's not the best use of Van Cleef, but you're trying to get tempo here, knowing that you're going to eventually draw into your gadgets in. You know, you need to basically keep your opponent on guard until you get that combo. So bringing out a 4/4 is not a bad way to do that.
Yeah, it's you don't really have any other good uses of your mana this turn. You could Auctioneer and then prep and Sap or Eviscerate or something. But that's not, you really don't want to do that against a Druid who has many ways to get rid of that Auctioneer. You'd rather save the Auctioneer for when you do pull the Concede or have a little bit more mana to get a few more draws in. So, I mean, throwing down a 4/4 Van Cleef against Druid is always pretty reasonable. Usually don't want to make him more than a 6/6. As Druid will usually run the big game hunter. They also have Keeper of the Grove, which could be a big blowout. Like, I mean, he could have played Prep, Zap, Eviscerate, Van Cleef. Obviously, that's not a good play, so
yeah. Well, I mean,
not something you want to do.
You want to save your spells for when you get that Gadget Zen out, allowing you to draw into as much as humanly possible. Sorry, guys, trying to get the stream loading. We're having a little bit of an issue here. All right, I'm going to try to reload it. Sorry, guys. See if we can get a quick reload here. It's the struggles when you're playing any. So Gadgetzan came down. We got a Force of Nature, clearing the Gadgetzan. Looks like we had an Eviscerate come down as well. So he drew a few cards with that Gadgetzan, got his Leroy going.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the Force of Nature. I think is perfect there. I would definitely do that. I'd trade for the Van Cleef here for sure. He's got five attack blade now too. He's got the Blade Flurry in his hand. But the Force of Nature, especially when you're running double copies of Force of Nature, which you said he was earlier, that the Force of Nature, using the first one as a board clear is usually like extreme value. As you can see, it was like about 2.5 cards. Really, he traded that Force of Nature and half his Harvest Golem for a Van Cleef and an Auctioneer. You can't really get much better than that. Those are two really often difficult cards to deal with. So, all right, and this is why you save Sap.
Yep. Especially considering that you want to keep that weapon, that 5 damage, and that Blade Flurry for another turn. Now you don't have to use it on this turn. You can sap away. So we're going to see a Gadgetzan sap, I'm sure. Let's see what he draws into.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got most of the combo. I think Gadgetzan sap is reasonable. The question is, this is his last Gadgetzan. It's very likely to be removed. I can't see what's in D2's hand right now, but it wouldn't be surprising to me. Even a Wrath would remove the Gadgetzan, so it wouldn't be too shocking to me for him to be able to remove it. But he does have Leroy, he does have Shadow Step. It looks like it a little blurry, but I think it's 21 health he's got the Druid at. So with the...
And I do like him Shadow Stepping back his Gadgetzan. It's a precious card. It's worth it. I think that's a solid play to bring the Gadgetzan back in your hand. Would you have kept it out? I don't know.
I could really go either way on that, is because you lose a ton of burst potential by doing that, and you've already got, I mean, you've got, what, 8 damage here, you do 8, you put him down to 13, and you've got 9-man next turn, he's going to play the taunt next turn, so you definitely save the Blade Flurry if you Blade Flurry. Like, I guess you probably can't kill him next turn, but, I don't know, you just lose so much burst potential there. I'm not sure if I would, use the Shadow Step there.
Well, now he's definitely going to sap this Rag. I mean, this is just too much damage here, too easy to get rid of with the sap. So I'm thinking sap and then SI Agent. Let's see what he chooses to do. Yep, plays the SI.
Yeah, no, you sap. You sap SI Agent face. That puts him down to, again, I can't see his health right there. Is that 17 he's at before he gets SI?
16.
Okay, so he's at 16. You've got 11 off of Leroy and Blade Flurry, and are just swinging with the weapon. But I think he does have that taunt in his hand he can replay.
Yep. So
Shadow Step would.
We can now shiv and use Blade Flurry to clear that taunt. He also can gadget. He can also use. Yep. He can also use Azure Drake to have the Blade Flurry straight up kill the taunt. And he's got Leroy next turn, so he's got, with the Eviscerate, he's got close to enough damage. That's
Yeah, I think you play. I think you play Thalnos Blade Flurry here, because that clears the taunt with the 2 spell damage.
He played the Drake.
Well, I guess he doesn't even need to play Thalnos.
Yeah. So I think you just Blade Flurry, and then Eviscerate. Okay, he's gonna shiv to draw the card. That's, let's see. He gets a backstab, which he can't use on that. So he's gonna Eviscerate and go face. Interesting. Saving the Blade Flurry for even maybe a bigger taunt and possibly a kill blow. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. You've got Thalnos in your hand, so, and pretty much, I mean, he's used both Druid of the Claws. If he plays, so I guess maybe you're only worried about Ancient of War. You've got 9 damage off the Spell Power Backstab and Blade Flurry, assuming the Azor Drake dies. I don't know. There's not too many, especially if he just plays.
Rag, Mark of the Wild.
Rag
That's
here.
a big taunt to get through. 10-10. No
That
saps
is
left.
interesting. All right. So, I mean, but let's see. So, 10, he's got, let's assume he doesn't hit, so he's got 4 damage. I mean, he can still clear this.
Yep,
all he
backstab
has to do
for
is play
3,
battle.
Blade Flurry for 5. That's 7 in total. 8, 9, 10. Goes away quickly. And that's a full game right there. Jeez, that was quick. That was a quick lethal.
Indeed. I mean, again, kind of what you expect. D2's not really matched up very well here against Miracle Rogue. I think anticipating that Ignite was going to play Handlock and or Warrior Control, not really anticipating or being ready for the Miracle Rogue here, so it looks like it might cost him.
Yeah. No, it's tricky, and we know this last deck is a Shaman, and when we get into game here, we could talk a little bit about it. So yeah, I mean, Shaman's matchup versus Miracle Rogue is tricky. It has no healing. You can put in Earthen Ring Farseers if you want, but other than that, it doesn't have any healing. And that makes it very susceptible to the Miracle Rogue, because one of the best ways to combat it is to, in fact, heal up. But the Shaman can race a Miracle Rogue and win. So we'll see if D2 can do that.
Yeah, not only can Shaman race, but it also has Feral Spirits, which Rogue generally doesn't care about how big your taunts are, it cares about how many taunts you have. And so the fact that you can roll the taunt totem with the hero power or play Feral Spirits gives you quite a few options for dealing with the Miracle Rogue, or for competing with the Miracle Rogue. Still pretty poor matchup without the heal, and without necessarily, it can race, but it doesn't have the fastest clock, and with cards like Backstab and Eviscerate and SI7 Agent, Rogue can generally deal with some of your stronger early plays like Flame Tongue Totem.
One of the tricky things, though, about those Feral Spirits is you have to be careful, because the Blade Flurry with the poison clears it entirely, so you have to be very judicious of your use of those taunts and making sure that you lay, let's say you have a taunt totem out, you keep that out, then you don't play the ferals until necessary, then you play one set of ferals each turn if you have two. You have to be careful, because you always do have that Blade Flurry to remove them no matter how big they get.
Yeah, you do have to be really cautious of Blade Flurry. Blade Flurry is probably the best card in the Rogue deck against Shaman. Usually they only pack one Blade Flurry, so you don't have to worry. You kind of try to bait them out of the first one, and then once that one's used, you kind of hope they don't have the second one. Fan and Knives can be really strong too if they're able to get the spell power on it, but you generally have a little bit more control over that. As they typically won't be going Azor Drake Blood Mage Thalnos and Fan of Knives early enough for it to really matter too much.
Yep, and we can see here that D2 doesn't have, he's got a Defender of Argus in his deck, but he doesn't have it in his hand. That would have been a great card for taunting up some of these smaller minions. So, he's still got some good plays, though. He's going to be able to bring out a Totem. Yep, Flame Totem.
One thing to note about D2's hand is he has a Doomhammer, which is probably the strongest card in Shaman against Miracle Rogue. Because it allows you, that's the card that really lets you race against Miracle Rogue.
For sure.
Miracle Rogue doesn't play any taunts. All by itself, that hammers 16 damage, and if you draw even one Rockbiter, it just adds so much more damage to the equation.
Yeah, you can turn 6 for 10 immediately and finish somebody off if you've gotten them down, or you can play it a little bit later. Yeah, it's a solid card and one of the critical ones. He's also playing the other weapon, the 2-drop 2-attack for 3, which is interesting. I don't often see both weapons in here, the Stormforged Axe, but I think it'd be helpful. I do think it's more important though that he gets out taunt and prevents damage early on. As we can see, there's no Gadgetzan yet and no Leroy, so right now the Rogue is playing the waiting game, trying to get those cards. If he doesn't draw them, he will lose.
Yeah, no, Ignite's hand is honestly pretty poor right now. If he draws Auctioneers in business, he probably just straight up wins the game with double prepping the seal. But if he doesn't draw Auctioneer, I don't think he stands a chance here. And I'm thinking here about D2's plays. I'd be pretty eager to get the Leroy is a pretty good draw here. Now Ignite can play the Deadly Poison to try and push damage, hold on to the sap and the eviscerate, and work towards. Eviscerating that is fine as well, but you can work towards that 18 damage sweet spot. Although you do need to be careful. The eviscerate there is probably right. You do have to play. You probably have to play around the taunts, so you just. You have to worry about Feral Spirit if you do just go straight for damage. But yeah, I'm a little curious why D2 didn't play the Doomhammer earlier. Generally, I feel like he's being a little greedy here. It may end up paying off due to how poor Ignite's hand is. Oh, did he just draw Gadgetzan?
Yeah.
If he just drew Gadgetzan, I don't think D2 stands a chance. I think this game's over now. He's at, what is he at? He's at 14. He's going to sap the. He's going to sap probably the Fire Elemental, and then we'll see what he draws. But you're definitely sapping
Sinister Strike Deadly.
One of these Sinister Strikes, a good draw. But you play the sap here on one of these guys. I don't think unless D2 has to have Feral Spirit. Yeah, this game's over unless D2 has Feral Spirit.
He might draw it, but he doesn't have it at the moment. Sorry guys, having trouble with this stream, so we're just showing you the one stream so that they're synced. We don't want to be out of sync. But bear in mind, a Doomhammer plus Rockbiter is 10 damage, so that would be basically lethal because it would buff the Unbound Elemental into a 4-attack minion. So.
Yeah, my stream hasn't caught up yet, but there's no... Okay, it looks like he wasn't able to deal with the Unbound, so...
Right.
And did he top deck the Rockbiter?
I think
he did. Does he have the Rockbiter? Or?
I think he did. We're trying to watch just the main stream because we have two, but yeah, he's got the Doomhammer coming down, and it looks like, yeah, he did top deck that Rockbiter. That, in
Holy
effect,
crap.
is a race. And we have the Rogue down, D2 coming back. Look at that.
That's not a race. That's a top deck. That's a pretty sick top deck there.
It was a pretty sick top deck. Well played, D2.
Indeed. That was, personally, I think I would have played the Doomhammer on turn 5, but, what D2 did, I'm trying to think how that would have worked out differently if he had not played the Doomhammer on turn 5. Or if he had played the Doomhammer on turn 5, he plays that. He deals 4. You play the. You're going to have 6 minus 3. You're going to have 3 mana. Then you play the Unbound Elemental.
Right.
Then on the following turn, you probably play the Fire Alley. Like, yeah, I mean, he probably would have dealt less. Well,
it might have been less damage.
I think it's pretty equivalent there.
It's close, but I think the damage would have been a little bit less because he would have been overloaded and couldn't play the Fire Alley on that turn. On turn 5, he would have been overloaded.
Yeah. It would have made his turn 6 play much worse, but I don't know. It's just so hard not to play the Rock Batter. Oh, and if this is Handlock from Ignite, this is not looking good for Ignite. Having to pick Handlock into Shaman is not what you want to be doing, so could be a comeback here for D2. It looks like it is Handlock. You've got Siphon Soul, Ironbeak, Molten. I'd probably mulligan that entire hand. Generally what you want to do against the Shaman is just overload the removal, try to get Mountain Giant, Twilight Drake, Faceless Manipulator, copy one of them. It looks like he did mulligan into double Mountain Giant, which is pretty exceptional.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting as well that Ancient Watcher is also really good against Shaman, because if you can taunt up an Ancient Watcher, they have to deal with it somehow. They can't Earthshock, obviously you can't, Earthshock will get rid of the taunt, but then they've got a 4/5, so don't want to be doing that. And then if you taunt it, then they don't want to use a Hex on it either, so the Ancient Watcher can be really strong against the Shaman, so that's a good draw there. He doesn't have the taunts yet, but for just a matter of time, really, before he gets those.
Yeah, and the other thing about the Ancient Watcher is if you leave it on the board, it can be Shadow Flamed, wiping an entire Shaman board. And if you're a Shaman player, you know that having your board wiped is probably game-ending at certain levels, especially against a quality Handlock player. So getting 2 Harvest Golems is good because even with a potential board wipe or if your minions die, the damage golems will come out, allowing you to maintain board presence, possibly get out those Flame Tongue Totems. You need to, if you can, deal with these giants without using Hex early, so that you can save your Hexes. If you potentially have a big game hunter, save that. It's really critical to try to not use those Hexes early. You might need them later.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fine to Hex a, like, you want to try to set up a way to remove a giant using, say, Lightning Bolts and the 2 Harvest Golems. Like that works really, really well, which it looks like he has. But I'm pretty sure I would Lightning Bolt the giant there to remove the giant. I mean, it does open you up to Hellfire, but by not removing the giant, you allow him to pretty freely remove the Unbound Elemental. I mean, the good thing for D2 is he does have the, even though he doesn't have Hex, he does have Earthshock. And so if Ignite plays a Twilight Drake, which is probably, well, actually, if he probably playing the Giant's better than playing the Twilight Drake here, because the Giant can only really be killed by Hex or
like a Flame Tongue combo.
Big Game Hunter. So yeah, I would definitely play the Giant. Looks like he does play the Giant. One of these is going to get hexed, and then he's getting in there with a lot of damage. Like Ignite had about as good of a start as he could have. He's drawn both Mountain Giants, both Twilight Drakes. Really just needs taunt. He has both Shadow Flames, which I think we might see one of the Shadow Flames coming down here in a minute. But Shadow Flame being exceptionally strong card against Shaman, and to have both of them this early is really, really good for Ignite.
Yeah.
We see Ignite kind of considering his options.
Yep, it's a tricky thing here. I mean, you've got 6 mana. I think a Faceless Manip is a really strong play. I think the Drake is tricky because Shamans typically run the Earthshock, and if they do have it in hand, it goes away. So I feel like certainly it's better to Faceless Manip here.
I think the question here is more so, do you want to play the Shadow Flame or not? If you play, probably don't want to Shadow Flame your 8/8.
No.
I'm trying to think here.
You can Shadow Flame your Ancient Watcher. That's always a play.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow Flame and the Ancient Watcher is fine. You don't get rid of the Unbound, though.
Right.
And you do leave him with 2 damage golems and can't get rid of that. So I think I don't think
he's gonna attack
Shadow
the
Flame's quite the right
Unbound.
play.
So he's going to attack the Unbound. That will clear everything but the damage golems.
Yeah, after he does the, which is, yeah, that's definitely fine. I mean, I think you might have been just as well off playing the Faceless Manipulator on the 8/8 Giant and then killing the Unbound Elemental, and then using the Shadow Flame on the next turn. You're really keeping the board state in the same position. And this Fire Elemental is pretty huge here for D2. And at 17, putting him with a 5. I mean, if you did 2 to him, it does allow him to play Molten Giant and Sun Fury, but I think I get that 2 damage in at this point. Try to get him closer to lethal. You do have the, I mean, you've got the Earth Shock if you really need to clear if you really need to clear the taunt. You've got 8 damage to kill the Molten Giant if you did taunt it with the Fire Ellie and the damage going. So I think I definitely do the 2 there. And here,
Sylvanas. That's an interesting play. I mean, it's like just a question of, you know, you don't want to. You want to either kill the handlock or leave them at 15 health. You don't want to just start hitting face. So it might be a question of just running both minions into Sylvanas in the ineffective order, just so you don't give them a minion. Because ultimately, if you can't kill it, you don't want to bring them into Molten Giant range.
I would go to face because you have both. I would just ignore his minions and go for face, and you have both Earth Shocks, so you can clear taunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even worry about it. He's at 15. You can do 8 this turn. Put him down to 7. I would probably play the. I would actually probably play the Alakir, and you do 12, 13. You do 14 damage. You put him down to 1. That means he can't life tap, and then you've got the Earth Shocks to deal with taunts. I think that's pretty much a guaranteed lethal there. And he can't play Alexstrasza or Jaraxxus next turn.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure that's
that Ignite has no taunt givers, so that would be an amazing play.
Yeah. I mean, especially considering that. Looks like, I really don't like this play. I think he's playing way too scared here.
Yeah, well, with the 2 Earth Shocks, I agree with you. Those will clear the taunts no matter how big they are.
Yeah. I mean, the Earth Shocks are going to, I mean, Ignite's got to play those Twilight Drakes here at some point, and the Earth Shocks are going to be really strong against that. He did get the Rockbiter weapon, so I mean, D2's still in a fantastic spot here. But I think playing the Alakir out I think playing the Alakir last turn would have been a lot stronger. As putting that, I think people really underestimate how powerful it can be to make it so that they cannot use life tap. Oh, he's going to get blown out here.
Yep.
Earth
Shock's going down. 9. That's gonna be a lot of damage right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's going to Earth Shock it, but he has been playing pretty scared here of Molten Giants, so I'm hesitant to say. I don't think he's going to attack face. I mean, he's decided that Ignite has to have. Yeah, he's definitely going to clear the minion based on his previous plays, and then because he's got lethal next turn with Rockbiter Alakir, as long as Ignite doesn't top deck a taunt, and
or
so
clear,
I think
or
well,
clear
he's also.
Because you have to, if the Drake dies, then there's no lethal anymore with the Alakir Rockbiter.
Yeah, but you've got to have, like, he can't use, he's probably going to use Hellfire here, and if he uses Hellfire here, he's dead.
Yeah.
So it looks like D2 is going to be coming back here.
Wow, nicely done, D2. Playing safe. I think you're right. I agree with you 100%. With the 2 Earth Shocks, it would have been better to go aggressive, but D2 plays it safe and is rewarded as long as he can count and do math, and realizes that Alakir Rockbiter is lethal, and he does notice he's got lethal. So here it is, guys. We are 2-2. Sorry, I will update those screens. Apologize for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think aside from that one turn, I think D2 played really, really well there. Generally, it's a lot stronger to play conservatively, as you do want to play safe, being able to play around the different being able to play around your opponent's outs. But the that one turn, I mean, that's you do need to be mindful of Molten Giants. I think the Earth Shocks kind of putting him to 1, it cuts off life tap, and then you've got the Earth Shocks for the taunts. But again, he had fantastic hand there, and Ignite not really pulling those taunts out. Good matchup for Shaman. I'm really curious what Ignite's got for his third deck here. If he had to play Handlock into
it's a Druid
into Shaman.
It's a double Force of Nature,
Druid.
double Savage Roar Druid.
All right, I mean, I probably would have picked this against Shaman, before Handlock, just because while Druid also has a poor Shaman matchup, the Force of Nature combo with when Shaman doesn't run any heal, so you can often aggro them out. I like D2's mulligan a lot. Feral Spirit usually always a card you want to keep. You do have coin, so that could lead into Unbound. Oh wow, he's got Unbounded double Feral Spirits. This could get pretty nasty for Ignite pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I like keeping that Azor Drake too a lot. Both these decks are pretty mid-rangey, and cards like Azor Drake, which put a good body on the board and draw you a card, are really one of the best ways to build up card advantage, and that card advantage can be key in these mid-range matchups.
Yeah.
Although if Druid gets that really strong, I'm not sure if he's playing Wild Growth, but it looks like that style of deck. If you get into the Wild Growth Innervate, or just the Wild Growth into Yeti, into 5-drop, into 6-drop, that can really outpace the Shaman. But as we see here, Ignite's hand is definitely not that. He's got a pretty slow hand here. Not sure. I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with the
Shaman.
with
Well, yeah, a
D2's,
turn 2 Unbound into a
onslaught of
turn
Feral
3
Spirits.
Feral is really nice, hard to deal with. And yeah, there is a Wild Growth in here, but Ignite did not draw them. So right now, I feel like D2's got the advantageous position, and Ignite's hand's a little clogged. So let's see if D2 can continue his onward move. And here we go. We've got a 3/5 Unbound going to face. We've got 2/2/3 Ferals. This is about the best starting hand a Shaman can hope for, except for maybe if you're running like an Argent Squire and you throw that on turn 1 as well. But this is really amazing. So D2's in a great spot.
Yeah. No, this is an exceptional hand. I think you have to silence the Unbound here. It looks like he's definitely thinking about it.
Yep.
Obviously, we know that you have to do that based on D2's hand, because not only does he have the second Feral Spirit, he can't play that next turn, but he's got the Axe that he can play next turn and keep proccing his Unbound. So he does silence that, so Ignite's still in this, at least for a little bit here. But you're going to take out that Keeper of the Grove, and then Ignite's most likely going to follow up with a Druid of the Claw, which I think you put in top mode here. You really value the health, but unfortunately, D2's playing Black Knight. I think putting in top mode is definitely the right play. Shaman generally doesn't pack a Black Knight in their list, but it's going to be pretty rough. D2's kind of in an odd spot too. I think you just have to let this go for a turn, so at least you're going to get some value out of it. But
now he's going to clear
He's going to use the Rock Biter here.
Yeah,
okay, so he's going to go and clear it.
Yeah, I think that's a solid
So
play.
I think that's fine, especially when you're this far ahead. That Manatide Totem's going to do. We'll do some serious work. But what it does do is it requires Ignite to have to use mana to deal with that Vice's playing a threat. I don't think I would play. It looked like he was thinking about playing the Black Knight there. I'm not sure I would play the Black Knight here, as it's going to get a significant amount of value, I feel, from the Manatide Totem.
Yeah, both players playing that Black Knight is pretty solid. Unfortunately, there wasn't that turn 6 opportunity to throw it on the Black Knight. He was 1 mana shy. But, as you said, that Azure Drake is a critical card. He plays it, draws an additional card. He will use an additional Rock Biter to clear that other Black Knight, keeping his board presence and using his life total as a resource. Really strong play. The problem is, if at any point the Druid takes board control here, it's going to be tricky, because with a Force of Nature Savage Roar, that's 14 damage immediately, plus anything on the board. And a Swipe is going to clear, and a Wrath as well. So he's going to clear everything but that one Wolf. So Ignite is looking to fight for board position here, and if he does, he will get a win with Force of Nature Savage Roar. So basically the Shaman, D2, cannot allow that. He really needs to fight hard for that board position, and it looks like he's got a Harvest Golem to do that. He's got another set of Feral Wolves. He might want to play those Spirits now. Let's see what he chooses. He goes Harvest Golem. I like that play. He goes Feral Spirits. So this is really good. You're going to be overloaded, but you're less worried about being overloaded at this point when you've got extra mana to spare. You're more worried about being overrun. So here we go.
I'm not sure I would play the Feral Spirits there. Like, knowing that the combo is one of the only ways you're going to lose this game, I think I'd want to save the Feral Spirit for a turn or two later, because you do have a little bit of leg room in order to play that. I couldn't quite tell what else was in his hand.
He had nothing else to play.
But if
he had no other cards.
He didn't have
the Fire Elemental.
That's probably.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't play anything, he loses board control, and at 17 health, if one minion's on board, he dies. And as a shaman in that position, I know you can't lose board control on turn 9. That's just game ending.
Okay, yeah, that's probably fine then. I just didn't catch what else was in his hand. It looked like, I guess it was just Flame Tongue and Blood Mage.
Yeah, and another mana.
But I mean, it looks like.
Yep, he's going to force
like D2's going to pull out a 3-0 win here, though.
Well, that Force of Nature Savage Roar is a win condition, but remember, there's another Force of Nature Savage Roar in this hand. So yeah, D2's at an advantageous position, but he could draw into it, especially considering he's got an Ancient of Lore coming up next. The question is, can D2 end it before the Ancient of Lore comes down and then a potential Force of Nature Savage Roar again? And it looks like he's got a Black Knight. He's not going to want to play that. He's got a Hex. He's not going to want to play that. He could play the Mana Tide and the Flame Tongue Totem. Maybe another totem as well. Let's see what he draws. He draws... Okay, plays that Mana Tide. Draws a Doomhammer. That's not bad. Yeah, it's really not bad at all.
Doomhammer's not bad at all. Pretty good way to end the game.
It's going to be 6 damage. He doesn't have lethal yet. But, that being said, Ancient of Lore comes down to heal. That's 9. And then he's going to innervate a Yeti. So the question is, can he do 9 damage this turn? Flame Tongue will add 4. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, that's game. He also top decks a Lightning Bolt. So that Flame Tongue or Lightning Bolt, any of which, even maybe a Blood Mage for bad mana, any of that will kill him. Looks like he's going to go Well-Mannered. Okay. D2 coming back and getting the all kill when he was down 2 games. Wow. You know what's really interesting, Varanus? D2 was down 2 games to a Miracle Rogue in another... Oh no, who was down 2 games? There was another DKMR player down 2 games to a Miracle Rogue. So we're just another moment away, guys. So thank you guys all for watching. This is the DKMR Invitational. This is Week 5, match number 2, and this is, again, a best of 7 between DKMR's D2 and DKMR Brad. And I guarantee you these are going to be high-level games. Like, even if DKMR D2 falls on his sword, Brad has shown some amazing performances week after week. But I really want to see my co-host of the Invitational previous to tonight and of the Roundup, D2, give us a good showing and possibly dethrone Brad. It would be such a great... I mean, that would be the ultimate end of D2's amazing week, wouldn't it?
Yeah, hopefully not the end of his streak, though. Hopefully he can keep it up this weekend as well. And,
sure. No, for sure.
Keep tearing up the open circuit.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he has been tearing up that open circuit. And, do you know about Brad's tournament finishes? Do you know about his stuff? I haven't seen much about it lately.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know he's done well in a lot of tournaments. I'm trying to think. He was in the at least the top 4 of the NESL last night. I can't remember if he won it or not, though. I can double check that real quick though to see how far he ended up getting. Yeah, let me go to NESL, see if he won that tournament last night.
So we're going to be watching from Brad's perspective. We're not quite there yet. We're almost there. Just going to make sure those streams are up and running, and they are, of course.
Yeah, it looks like he lost in the finals last night, so making it far in the NESL. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's put up a lot of good finishes. I think he's won an NESL tournament in the past. I mean, he's an excellent player. Yeah. Very, very good. Definitely put on a showing here in the DKMR Invitational.
You know, having watched him the last few weeks, I've really become a fan just from his play, but also from talking to him afterwards in our interviews. It's been so much fun, and I got to tell you, I'm really rooting for him to get a BlizzCon Invitational qualification seat so he can play in one of the 4 regions to potentially qualify for BlizzCon. I think he could make a good run there, and so I'm rooting for him. Also rooting for D2 to do that as well.
Yeah, well, D2's already got his qualifier in the world's qualifier, winning the NASL tournament this weekend. And I won the Zotac this weekend too, so I got mine as well. So, and I'm sure Brad will get his sometime soon. Brad's, I mean, again, an exceptional player. He's gonna take down one of these tournaments, one of these qualifying tournaments anytime now, I'm sure, and get his as well.
And with that, guys, we are about to get into game. It looks like Brad is about to challenge D2, guys. So, are you ready for this? Here we are, the best of 7 of the DKMR Invitational. Once again, we have a DKMR player 2 weeks in a row taking out our challenger. So that means the winner of this gets $25. So $25 on the line, and the winner also takes the spot in the best of 7 for next week. So if D2 wins, he becomes the best of 7 player next week. If Brad wins, he retains the best of 7 spot and is 5-0 record now. And if Brad wins every single game and never gets dethroned, he will win $1,000 cold hard cash on top of whatever else he's won. And he won 25 last week for taking out who was it? Christopher. So here we go, guys. The challenge has been brought, and now D2 is giving it, and we've got Brad possibly accepting. He's not really sure. Okay, he is canceled. I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, they're just trolling each other. You fucking guys. You need to stop this nonsense. Let's get into these games. Here we go. And we can see here in Brad's corner, we have a druid, a shaman, a rogue, and a lock. Said zoo, but you never know. These guys are effing around a little much. So,
yeah, that's probably zoo. It looks like he's got backspace rogue, so the aggro rogue, hosty shaman, pretty standard mid-range shaman deck. I'm sure that's a zoo deck. And then Brad loves his mid-range druid, so we'll see if that's... it looks like he's going for zoo here in game 1, and is D2 going for the question mark rogue?
Looks like it. Best of 7. Question mark rogue. Okay. Stream's up. Okay, so they're on an 8-minute delay, so Brad was making sure the stream was live before they started. Good job. He wasn't just effing around. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Even though you're 8 minutes behind. So let's see what they pick, and then we'll talk about the decks they pick. So Brad's going for zoo, and now that he's picked it, I can confirm that is a zoo. In fact, it's got your Doom Guards, your Dark Irons, and such. It's got a couple tricky little cards in there. It's got a couple fairy dragons, and we have D2 playing the rogue. That is a question mark backspace rogue. He's got an Earthen Ring, Violet Teacher, Gadgetzan, Questing Adventurers. Is that the backspace rogue?
It doesn't sound like backspace rogue. That sounds like a kind of a modified miracle rogue with questing adventure. You said his hand hasn't popped up for me yet.
2 questing adventurers.
2 questing adventurers.
Yeah. 2 questing adventurers. The SIs, of course. Edwin. 1 Earthen Ring. He's got your conceals, your preps, your deadlies, your gadgets, your violet teachers, Leroy. So yeah.
It sounds like just a modified Miracle Rogue deck using the Questing Adventures, kind of like Van Cleef's, with a little bit kind of like running 2 additional, I would say slightly weaker Van Cleef's probably.
Yeah.
But that's we'll see how this goes. I'm curious to see.
And you can see in Brad's hand here, the zoo has a Mukla, so this is a Mukla variant of the zoo, which is more popular.
Well, that Mukla is going to make that Questing Adventure huge if he decides to play the Mukla. Yeah. But D2 is going to need a lot of mana for that to work out. So probably, I mean, although, let's see, D2 is going to be on 3 mana shortly, and he's got a prep and he's got an eviscerate. He could play the Questing Adventure, the prep eviscerate, get a 4/4. Not quite big enough, really, but I don't know. We'll see how this Questing Adventure works. I'm curious.
Yeah. Alright, got that overlay fixed. You got some bananas going in here. So he looks like we've got a little bit of a prep eviscerate on the Mukla, which is always important. You do not want that Mukla staying on the board. And he's going to give a little bit of poison, and he's going to clear this board. This is a really strong start from D2. And he's got that questing possible double banana combo. I'm thinking this could go D2's way.
Indeed, he's got the Blade Flurry too, which is one of the, and with the Deadly Poison on the dagger as well right now. I think D2 is in a great spot. Miracle Rogue generally has a very strong Zoo matchup. Being able to, having really some of the best removal in the game in SI7 Agent, Backstab, and Eviscerate. So the Zoo can win if they get a really strong start, but D2's obviously stymied that.
Yeah, no doubt. And you can see here, obviously, that, D2, he's got that one poison, he's got the Blade Flurry, as you mentioned. He's going to not attack with that unless he draws another poison because of how valuable that Flurry is. If possible, right? Yeah. It's much more likely he'll Eviscerate, use the questing, bring out the bananas, that kind of stuff. Yeah, no,
I wouldn't even think about using the Blade Flurry is okay right now. You do get the 2-for-1 with the Blade Flurry right now, so it's not the worst. Oh, yeah, Violet Teacher is a way better play, though, as he top deck the Violet Teacher. Ooh, I don't know if I would swing here, though.
Yeah, I would
like hang on to that. I don't like that at all, because that Blade Flurry is guaranteed to kill both of those guys if you just hang on to the Blade Flurry. I see no reason to use up that Deadly Poison.
Yeah, I think that wasn't the most optimal play, especially now that the boards continue. And with Zoo, your board is always going to be filled up when you're against Zoo. That's like the one thing you can be sure of, is there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 minions on the board that next turn. But here's your questing, and you've got a Backstab, which is really nice. That's going to get rid of the 3-2. You've got the double banana, and it's possible that maybe that play with the poison, which wasn't the best, won't matter because of how strong this adventure is going to be. Oh my god, it keeps growing! 7-7, but a Soulfire's drawn. So we got a Dark Iron Soulfire combo coming in right now hot. That will clear it. He'll lose a defender, but that questing's gone now, and there's no Blade Flurried deadly poison weapon to continue to clear in the future. So I think Brad's ahead now, to be honest.
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, he's got the Eviscerate still to clear. It's hard to be ahead when you have one minion on board and no cards in hand. Even if you do have Life Tap, the Miracle Rogue does have a couple cards. I mean, it's pretty. I would say it's pretty even probably at this point.
I mean, I agree
the Life
that
Tap keeping the.
Yeah, I agree that it's even, but the Rogue has no ability to draw cards at this point. And unfortunately, see, that's interesting. And the Warlock can Life Tap. So he's going to get 4 in with the Questing Adventurer, and that sap has now been used. So, yeah, not sure. I'm still feeling like the Zoo's got the advantage here.
Possibly. It really depends on how big he can get that adventure. I mean, a lot of times I find against Zoo, if you just make a really big Van Cleef, it's really hard to lose. So if he can get this adventure to gigantic proportions, then I think he's pretty much got the game in the bag. And I don't see what he drew here for a second card. But if he drew anything reasonably playable, I think he's going to be pretty far ahead as he can get his adventure up to a 6-6.
Looks like a Leroy, so he's a little behind on that draw. See if
Leroy is not the best play here. I think what I would consider doing is, actually, you could play the. How much mana does he have? Does he have 8 mana? You could attack.
Yes.
You could attack into the Fairy Dragon
Leroy,
with your dagger.
Flurry.
Play the Leroy and then reset your dagger and Blade Flurry. Or actually, you'd want to Blade Flurry. Actually, he should have Blade Flurried first, and then you play the Leroy, then Blade Flurry, then reset the dagger, then attack to kill the 3-1. Then you're left with a 1/1 dagger. In this situation, you're going to lose the dagger. Probably not going to matter too much since you're
have 8 mana.
Probably going to have more than enough mana to remake it next turn. But
yeah, that would be the optimal play, though. Yeah, I think that's solid. And as you said, this Questing Adventurer, kind of like a Van Cleef clone, if you will, has but he keeps growing, unlike Van Cleef, has continued to be a problem. And just as predicted, the Zoo's got more cards to play, but he can't actually stop this. He does draw a Leroy. Oh, man.
And you have to play the Leroy
Yeah.
here just because he has lethal otherwise.
Yep, you have to.
So you definitely remove the adventure. You're going to take 6 on the following turn. So Shadow Step does it.
He can't play.
I think Shadow Step's.
I don't think he can afford to play the fire element. The flame imp.
No, if he plays he could play the Flame Imp, I think, because it gives you because he can't combo with Eviscerate. Eviscerate's the only other card that I don't think there's anything else you can draw to deal 4 damage, and the Eviscerate you can't combo.
3 health and a soul fire, and I think that's gonna be it because.
Oh no, my apologies. Yeah, you're right. He couldn't play the Flame Imp because of the dagger.
Yep.
But yeah, so he's just being silly here.
Yep, that was it. Brad goes down. Look at that. D2 taking game 1 versus Brad. Oh my goodness.
What? Yeah.
What's happening? What is happening, my friend?
Brad better get on this. Looks like Brad's going with the aggro decks this week.
Looks like Brad better get good.
Indeed. So it looked like he was picking Backspace Rogue here to try and take out D2's interesting breed of Miracle Rogue. And I think
Maybe.
I don't think the Questing Adventures changed the matchup so much that I don't think the Questing Adventures changed the matchup so much that it's unfavorable for the Backspace Rogue. I think Backspace Rogue is still pretty heavily favored in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you in terms of it's still fairly close though, right? It's not incredibly unfavorable for either, I would say. Or do you disagree with that?
It's pretty unfavorable for the Miracle Rogue. The Backspace Rogue deck was made in order to beat the Miracle Rogue deck.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. The Backspace Rogue. I thought we were going modified Miracle. I apologize. You're absolutely right.
No.
Let's see if this is the Backspace / Aggro Rogue.
I presume so, considering what he named it.
What he named it, yeah. Yep, that is it.
Definitely looks like it.
Yep, that's it. So yeah, you're right. My apologies.
No worries.
Yeah. So
you obviously keep the Leper Gnome. I think it's hard with the Cold Lights. I mean, it does give you fuel. You can end the game pretty fast, but I think I like throwing both those back. They're not very aggressive. You kind of want them near the end of the game to refuel your hand once you get to that point.
Yeah, I have seen early
D2's
Cold
deck. Jeez, he's got.
Uh-huh.
He's got the Violet Teacher. I guess he played the Violet Teacher last game too, but
yeah,
that is very, very interesting to build a Miracle Rogue here.
Let's see here. So, yep, you're going to bring out the weapon. You're going to clear this. That's, It's just trying to basically prevent 6 damage. You take 4 instead. It sucks, but it's the best you can do. Weaponing up.
You just got to do it.
Brad's
Unfortunately for D2.
Yeah, Brad's hand's not very good
Brad's
here.
hand is bad.
Yeah.
He is drawing a very, very clunky hand. The saps are pretty poor against Miracle Rogue. Although they are good against Questing Adventure. You can reset his Questing Adventures. So that is one thing to note. Assassin's Blade is a strong card, but again, comes out a little too late. You really want a little bit more early damage here with the Backspace Rogue.
Yeah, I agree.
While this deckhand's going to get some damage, and it's going to die pretty swiftly to D2's daggers.
Just working on the overlays over there real quick. So he's got the deckhand coming in, probably attack and weapon up. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you could Cold Blood the deckhand, but I don't think you want to spend the Cold Blood to do that. You get in 6 damage, encourage him to use his dagger to take it out, but if he's got Backstab, Shiv, SI7 Agent, any number of cards, you're really not. You're only using the Cold Blood for 4 damage. So yeah, weaponing up would be definitely be the play here.
This Backspace Rogue is its entire premise is that it gets a fast start and wipes the Miracle Rogue out before it can basically be run down, and the Miracle can kind of take advantage in the mid to late game. and Brad hasn't been able to do that. He's even healed up with a little with the Earthen Ring Farseer. I feel like D2's got to be ahead here.
D2 is very far ahead here. I mean, the Backspace Rogue, I've seen it win as early as turn 4 with Shadow Stepped Arcane Golems.
Yeah.
In this situation, he basically drew... You need to run the saps in order to deal with taunts, because you don't really have a lot of damage to deal with taunts. And but drawing both saps early like this is just devastating. You're really drawing all of the kind of niche answer cards without any of the threats that need to be answered by them here. And even this SI7 agent, well, better than anything else he has in his hand, you're getting little to no value off of it. It just died. Like, D2's more than happy to trade his 3-3 for Brad's 3-3 since
this is bad.
D2's not the aggressor, really. It's very bad.
Really
for Brad.
bad. Well, the Backspace Rogue is meant to wipe out the Miracle, but what happens when you get a bad draw? I mean, this is what we're seeing here. This can happen in Hearthstone, and at this time, I mean, D2's he can play anything he wants. Violet Teacher's great, and some spells, right? Why not? Let's get rid of this SI agent. Continue to fill the board. Sap. Ooh, interesting. I don't know if I would have sapped here. And my thought process about not sapping is that, the SI didn't get any value with its combo. Why not just kill it? But maybe he wants to just try to wipe out the Backspace Rogue before he can wipe him out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I may have just played the Violet Teacher and traded the 3-3 and waited until the following turn, although it does set you up for sap, and you do know he has an awkward hand, so his play is probably fine. Like, giving him value from the SI7 agent isn't huge, as he has to, if he's not going face and he's just removing minions, like, you don't have to be too worried against Backspace.
But Backspace just went face with that weapon, and despite more minions coming down for D2, Brad has decided to go face. I think he's going to go face next turn, and then Blade Flurry to clear most of the board. But that's going to clear everything. Probably the Violet Teacher will die too. The Drake will probably be all that's left unless he chooses to get rid of the Drake instead of the Violet Teacher when he Blade Flurry SI agents after hitting face.
Indeed.
Yeah, with
so
6.
D2 just needs a top deck that Bloodlust right about now.
Yeah, man, Bloodlust Miracle Rogue. That'd be so funny.
Pretty sick. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of, one thing just to note, like, a lot of people are like, oh, he drew such a bad hand. It's just, a lot of people throw that up to, like, RNG and stuff. Obviously there is some elements of RNG, but I would just want to discourage people from, like, really putting it all on the RNG, because there is a legitimate risk to playing a deck like
for sure.
Like Backspace Rogue, is because while it can have turn 4 wins, it also can have hands like this where you're doing essentially nothing for a very long time. And with this hand, I think what you could play the Leroy and the Blade Flurry potentially here too.
It might be better than the SI agent, but then you don't clear
12.
either. You don't clear either of the big guys unless you hit them with the weapon first.
Yeah. You put him to 7 if you do that though, which is pretty solid. And then on the following, but again, you just have so little else. How much mana? He's got 6 mana.
Maybe he plays Leroy next turn with the Cold Blood.
Be one off.
I like him playing Leroy next turn with Cold Blood. So do the attack face, Blade Flurry, SI agent, the either one of the big guys, and next turn Leroy sap whatever you need to sap, and then Cold Blood. That should be the win.
It's not quite a win. You've got 6 damage this turn to put him down to 13, and then you've got 10 damage in the following turn. So you need to draw 3 more damage somewhere.
Let's see what Brad chooses to do. He's a solid player, certainly knows this rogue better than I do. Looks like he gets hit to the Violet Teacher. He SIs. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so he clears everything. I like it.
Yeah.
He forgoes the extra damage on the face to clear everything.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fine. Like, you could, by clearing everything, you kind of limit the number of outs that D2, or not necessarily outs, but ways D2 has to win.
Yeah.
Being at 14, you're out of range of Leroy's Shadow Step. Fortunately for Brad, D2 doesn't have the Leroy. I'm trying to think what you probably would need. I mean, you probably clear this 3-3.
Yeah.
On a 13 though. I mean, it's the cold blood. You probably attack that, but little does D2 know that Brad's just one top deck away from taking this game.
But isn't the backspace roll always one top deck away? Every stream I've watched, every time I've played, it's always one top deck away. So looks like he's going to double poison, right? Or is he going to single poison? Okay, SI instead of that. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's fine. You could also save the dagger and poison next turn, but I mean, I think I'm fine. Yeah, attacking is fine as well.
All right,
so you're only 3 damage away from win.
So you don't want to sap this minion. That's the problem here, and you can't cold blood. He's gonna sap. That's gonna put.
I think you have to sap it because it does 3 damage if you keep it there. It does 2 damage if you sap it.
No, I know you have to. I just don't think you want to because I think he's got lethal next turn. 5 plus 2.
He's got 7.
7. Okay, okay. So he's 2 away.
He's 2 off. But again, the sapping that, I mean, he would have had 5, 6, and 8. I mean, it'd still be a little bit off. Even no, oh wait, no, he's got lethal. He's just shadow step.
Oh, shadow step. Right
damage.
There you go. Shadow step. There it is. So okay, so he can deadly poison, attack face, SI agent for 2, shadow step, SI agent, GG. Miracle Rogue beats backspace. You saw it here first, guys. It took a terrible hand from Brad to start, but D2 is 2-0 against our champion, Brad.
Yeah, Brad better watch out here.
That just happened. Wow. Uh-oh.
So let's see, what does Brad have access to now to try and take down this crazy Violet Teacher Miracle Rogue deck? Violet Teacher and Questing Adventurer.
It's an interesting little combo. What are your thoughts about it so far?
I mean, it's definitely worked here. I mean, I think against Zoo, you're already so favored. It's really hard to get a good gauge on it from that match. And in this one, Brad had such a bad opener. Again, it's kind of difficult to get a gauge on it. Generally, my experience with Questing Adventure is that it's fairly easy to remove, being able to be targeted by Silence essentially being a removal on it, because then you're paying 3 mana for a 2/2, which is pretty poor value. But the meta right now doesn't really have a ton of
silence. Yeah,
it doesn't have a ton of silence in the meta right now, so I can definitely see the deck working. I think Violet Teacher is kind of underrated in the 4-drop slot. A lot of people immediately go for Yeti when they're looking for kind of a 4-drop beater, but even just playing like Violet Teacher and say Shaman or something like that, a lot of times it works better than Yeti does, being able to pump out those 1/1s.
Yeah, hold that. We've got the mulligans here. So hold that thought. We've got those mulligans.
Let's check out these mulligans.
So we've got Brad playing the double force, double savage roar druid. Gets rid of everything. D2. I didn't see he moved so lightning
Keeps
fast.
Everything. D2 kept everything. Brad mulliganed everything. Ooh, this hand for Brad is either amazing or terrible.
Yeah.
Looks like this is going to turn out pretty well with the Ancient Allure off the top.
Yep.
So what is that? Turn 3 he can, turn 3 he can play the Ancient Allure.
Yep.
So I'd definitely wait to do that. And I'll restock his hand. Hopefully he can pull some good threats. But D2's hand's pretty strong too, as he's got 2 3-drops and a 4-drop as well. So.
And I like this. He's going to coin Van Cleef, very solid. Like, it's not the biggest Van Cleef ever, but it gets a good tempo advantage. And if anything really scary comes out from the Druid with an Innervate, it helps you deal with it. And as we know, something scary is coming out. So I think playing this Van Cleef was a very good heads-up play by D2.
Agreed.
This 5/5 can easily be cleared.
Yeah, all he has to do is trade his Van Cleef and use his hero power, which is this is a fine play. I mean, taking that 5 damage does hurt. I don't think you have. He doesn't want to. Yeah, he's going to do
I mean,
going to do just that.
I think it's always worth it, considering 2 innervates were used. That's effectively 3 cards, even though the Ancient drew 2 cards, that are critical for the Druid matchup. So I think that's well played.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, you got to get rid of that 5/5. That turn 3 5/5 is just insane. And Brad gets that Yeti, which is perfect here in this situation. I mean, that's exactly what he wanted here.
All right, we've got 2 good hands now. A Violet Teacher comes down. So both players have what they would consider close to optimal starting hands, I would say, or certainly not a terrible starting hand. So we're going to see a Wrath for 1, I think, to draw a card. Yep, Wrath for 1 to draw. Oh, he gets a Wild Growth, but he doesn't choose to use it. He drops the Harvest Golem. Clears with the Yeti. Now he's got a 4/2 and a 2/3 on board. Pretty solid start.
Indeed, and playing the Harvest Golem is definitely the right play there. It's much better to progress your board if given the option than play the Wild Growth. It is worth noting that the Wild Growth will help him ramp into Cenarius and or the Force of Nature combo too. I think I think what's going to end up happening is he's going to
Force of Nature
Wild Growth next turn and end up winning the game with a strong Force of Nature turn.
Really? I was thinking he would force to clear the 4/4 and maintain board presence, but I could see Wild Growth into Hero Power.
He could do that too.
I feel like with Druid, I feel like with Rogue, excuse me, if you prevent yourself from taking damage, you stay above 28, 29, even at 31 at this point, it's pretty hard to lose, and he knows he's got the other force. So I do like this play by Brad, not using the Wild Growth. He's going to clear the minion. Basically, he's going to continue to do damage, continue to develop the board, and remove his opponent's board. Wow.
Yeah. I think it's a fine play, too. You do have one more turn. Like, he'll be at 7 mana next turn, and he can play Wild Growth next turn and then do the Force of Nature combo on turn 8, essentially. And so I think playing the Force there was probably good.
And D2 plays that questing, so we're going to see how this questing plays in a different matchup. There's no silence right now for Brad. He would love the, draws the Keeper of the Grove. That sucks for D2.
There's that silence.
Oh, God. Doesn't even hit it. Doesn't even kill it with the 2/3 Harvest Golem, which would have kept the Harvest Golem alive. He's going for next turn lethal, right? That's it. GG next turn no matter what. Unless somehow the Rogue has an Earthen Ring Farseer, which he does not. Yes, he does. He does.
Probably...
He does have Earthen Ring. He's got an Earthen Ring.
I was going to think he'd drop them for the Questings and the Violet Teachers, but I guess not. The one thing to note, like, even the Keeper doesn't matter that much here with, unless Rogue, I've seen some Rogues teching like a Sinjin and stuff, but unless the Rogue plays a taunt, there's nothing stopping this Force of Nature combo on the next turn.
Yeah, I mean, the healing would have done it. Right, he couldn't have cleared both minions, right? He couldn't have cleared both minions, right?
Yeah, well, even clearing both minions doesn't matter because he could just Keeper or shoot face for 2. Top decking the Keeper and such. So.
No, I just meant the board state as it was. If he could clear both minions and heal, he would have stayed out of the 14 damage force combo.
Yeah, if he could do that, but unfortunately with just the one Farseer, is not top decking, hasn't drawn that, and Force of Nature will be coming down next turn too. And things.
Conceal. There's nothing sweeter.
Malicious fashion.
Yeah, there is nothing sweeter than a Druid seeing a concealed full board and forcing into it. Yep, force combo. GG, well played. Brad's coming back. Look what we got here.
Yeah, maybe he can get his 4-0 comeback here.
Wow, that would be incredibly strong. And he's got 2 decks to do it with, right? Yeah, he's got the Druid deck, and then I'm not sure what his final deck is, but whatever his final deck is. That Hosty Shaman.
Oh, that's right, that Hosty Shaman deck. Looks like D2, he's also got access to a Shaman deck, maybe pulling that out against the Druid. Generally a good matchup, and I'm sure... I'm sure D2's feeling pretty good about his Shaman after taking out Ignite with it.
All right, so that Shaman.
So let's see these mulligans.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Now that we're in game here, sorry about that. Worries. Mulligans went a little fast. Here we go. So he's going to get rid of, keep the Protector, get rid of the other 2, and D2 keeps everything. Wow. So he keeps.
I think I would have.
Yeah.
I think I would have kept the Yeti as the Druid player, but I mean, obviously, you probably want to keep the Sun Fury as an early play. There's that Wild Growth. I mean, if you had the Yeti and the Wild Growth, I feel like that's one of the strongest starts you can have with this sort of deck.
He does draw that Wild Growth, but he might not have had he not mulliganed the Yeti, depending on how the game's AI interface works with mulliganing. I'm not sure quite how random it is, or if the next card would have been the next card, in fact. Probably is that way. So we've got a Harvest Golem coming out. That's pretty nice. And looking at this Shaman from D2, as we see, he's got that Black Knight, which is going to be great for dealing with those early game taunts from turn 6 on. Also the big late game taunt if necessary. He's going to bring out that Silence. Yep, I think that's a solid play on turn 4. Or turn 3,
I think it's fine. You have to progress your board here, and you're not going to be the Keeper's really your only option here, and silencing here is much stronger than dealing 2 damage. The silence is effectively killing the 2/1 on the backside. So, and I think for D2 in this position, I think you have to play the Unbound Elemental. Just hope that Brad can't remove it and play the Feral Spirit on the following turn.
Certainly.
No, I'm kind of curious to see how those mana totems work out, because Mana Tide Totem can be really strong in this matchup, but Brad does have a much more aggressive build of the Druid deck, running double combo and running the Wild Growth as well. So, and so he might be able to but having the Feral Spirit to protect the Mana Tides.
Well, look at that. You're absolutely right. He chooses to not play the Unbound into Feral, which is a fantastic combo. He knows for sure with the Ferals out, it's going to be incredibly hard to clear that. So he's effectively going to protect his Mana Tide in 2 turns because he can't play it next turn. So he's looking for board advantage here so that he can play those Mana Tides in a future turn. The question is, will he get that board advantage, or will by 2 turns, will the Brad have taken control back of the board?
Yeah, well, the thing about this though is that he can clear both the Feral Spirits before D2 can play even 1 Mana Tide, before he can even play 1 Mana Tide, because he's not going to be able to play a Mana Tide next turn due to the Overload. So this really isn't. I definitely would have played the Unbound first, and then the Feral Spirit, because then you get the proc on the Unbound, assuming you can't remove the Unbound, and then you have the Feral Spirit to both proc the Unbound, protect the Unbound, and then protect your future Mana Tide totems. And then you even have the Unbound to trade against the opponent's minions, which is also protecting the Mana Tide totem and allowing you to gain a lot of value.
Yeah, I would have liked the Unbound into the Ferals better, but when a player has Wrath, it immediately negates it, but Brad didn't have Wrath. So we're going to see the Argent Commander come out here. Well, I was going to say, I think it's the better play. You can also keep her for 2 damage and then hero power to face, but okay, so he's going to clear.
I think I like playing Argent Commander here.
Yeah, pressure the board, right? I'd go face here. That totem's not too scary, and another totem coming out isn't also that scary either, so I like keeping that as it is. But you could also have cleared it, not popping the bubble. Hex, ooh. That's a solid Hex to get back board presence and board control, and to minimize...
Yeah, Hex is definitely good there on the Argent Commander. Argent Commander usually being able to trade 2 for 1 pretty effectively, so hexing that is good times for sure.
Ooh, gets a Cenarius and a Savage Roar. Doesn't have the Force yet, but he's got now a 5/5, a 2/1, and that 0/1 Frog. So the question is, now what can this Shaman do? And he's got 6 mana, Hex again. Okay, so effectively D2 has decided, if it brings down the Unbound, if he can't effectively get a board control and push forward, he's going to lose. So he uses his 2 big hexes, which are critical for the later game, early game, to gain tempo. But I don't know if it's going to work. I think Brad is going to take this.
Yeah, I think Brad's definitely in the better position here. I think using the hexes is fine. Druid doesn't run a lot of excellent hex targets. He may run Ragnaros. I'm guessing he doesn't, having the Cenarius in the deck. But the hexes, like really the 5/5, the Druid of the Claw and Ancient Allure are the biggest things you're going to be able to hex. Argent Commander was a pretty excellent hex target as well. So I think it was good use of the hexes there. We are kind of seeing how awkward these Mana Tide totems can be. There's almost no time at which D2 is going to be able to play these and these not just be a 3 mana draw 1 card. You're just essentially being really bad novice engineers.
Yeah, I've seen one Mana
so-
Tide that I'm okay with. 2 usually I feel like clogs your hand up, and as it is right now doing that.
Yeah.
Black Knight coming down, getting rid of a 4/2, that's nice. But Cenarius is going to come down next turn. Ooh, yep. So he's going to give the minions 2/2, I believe. Yep. And
Yeah, I
look at
think you
this.
definitely give him 2/2 here.
He goes face, and he's going to have a Force Savage combo next turn if he draws it, but he doesn't have the Force yet. So he's got a lot of options here. He can even keep her to do some damage to the Black Knight or to remove a taunt. Yeah, Brad's in a great position. D2 has a Fire Elemental and Alakir. Both are playable, but neither are going to be that good. The Fire Elemental can clear the 2/3. But either way, that Black Knight can't kill anything. Oh wait, actually, no, I'm wrong. He's got the rock biter, so he could use that. But you want to save that for Alakir if possible. So
Yeah, I would hesitate to play the Rockbiter. I think Brad made a very, very minute misplay there by taunting up the big game hunter. Just kind of like something that's pretty easy to overlook is just thinking like, do you need your big game hunter taunt? And generally the answer would be no in this situation. And that does just open it up to getting Black Knighted. I mean, again, that happened a few turns ago, but just kind of noting that, it's kind of an interesting small interaction. It's kind of similar to like if you put a Flame Tongue next to a Fire Elemental.
yeah, it can be big game huntered. You want to put it on something small and then use it, kill the small thing, and then attack with the big thing, if possible. So the Harvest Golem comes down, hero power to get rid of Alakir. Cenarius probably gets rid of the Black Knight. I think it's too good value not to. Nope. Looks like he's going to go face. That will put him in lethal range with a Force combo next turn.
Yeah, you definitely want to be considering, like, setting up lethal for the following turn is really strong. You know he's used both his hexes. It's going to be really hard to get rid of that Cenarius not having access to hex. Obviously, we know he does have the capability to do it with the Rockbiter weapon, the Black Knight, and the Fire Elemental, but
I would have
that
keepered
is
the
quite
face.
the hand you have to have.
I would keeper the face and cleared the 4/3 with Cenarius. I think you still get to lethal range pretty much, but it's still good play either way. All right, and Brad's got. He's got. Let's see. He draws a Flame Tongue Totem. He's got the Mana Tides. He's also got the. He's used the Alakir, so. He's going to have no hesitation rock bitering. Yep, here's a rock bitering and Flame Tongue to clear Cenarius. He can't attack with that other totem because it was just brought down. The Mana Tide totem comes down, but there's no chance that that Flame Tongue's going to stay there, even if the Force Nature... Ooh, Force Nature, there
He
it
has
is.
lethal with Force. Because he's got exactly 11 damage. This is why he attacked face with the Cenarius, is regardless of what... He's got to clear... at least the Cenarius and one other minion, not to have or put up a taunt, not to have lethal on the following turn, and so that's why you put him to 11 on that turn. Good sets up
That was a
many
really nice
scenarios once you
setup.
have lethal.
Yeah, I didn't see that extra bit of
Indeed.
damage from that, but that's really strong. All right, guys, we are going to be getting into our next game. It is 2-2. Brad's tied it up. They each have 2 decks to play. Currently the deck Brad's playing and one more, and then D2's got 2 decks, and we're gonna basically we've reset. It's now effectively like what, a best of 3 right now.
Yep, Brad's tasted blood. He's ready to 4-0 and come back here with his Druid deck.
I don't know, we shall see. D2
Indeed.
on a roll. He's got that warrior, and
so what are the warriors? One of the classes he has access to, warrior and druid.
Yeah.
So against druid, I feel like you have to go with the mirror match here.
oh wait, that's Brad.
Warriors-
Sorry. For Brad, It's not. It was. It's shaman and druid. Yeah, for D2, it's exactly. It's warrior or druid. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
And so with oh, no worries. In that situation, I think you have to go druid just because the warrior matchup is pretty poor. Druid generally beats the warrior pretty badly. So, and with Brad's got a really strong hand here. I think you keep the 2, 3, and 4 drop. You've got a good curve, even if you don't draw the wild growth.
Keeps the Argent too. Wow.
I think keeping the Argent is fine. Keeping the whole hand is fine.
Wow.
It looks like you've got a very strong curve. He's got an Ancient Allure as well. So I think Brad's hand is slightly stronger here. He has Coin, and he has a little bit earlier of a curve with the Sun Fury. Whereas that Azor Drake will be a nice 5-drop for D2. We'll see if a card advantage off that ends up mattering. But
yeah, D2 draws a Wrath. That's going to be a quick and easy clear here.
Yeah. Perfect top deck there.
Yep.
But again, Brad's got that really strong curve here. He's got a Yeti for next turn, and then he can coin into Argent Commander on the turn after that.
Yeah, or he could save it if something else happens, and he can coin into Ancient Allure the turn after. Yeah. Nicely done.
So probably want to. I was just gonna say I would probably Wrath and get rid of the Yeti on that prior turn where he played his own Yeti.
Yeah.
I guess either way is fine. You can Wrath on the next turn too.
I think the idea there is that he's got such a good curve that as his things get dealt with, he's not sure his opponent will have equally good. So, like, he's got the Drake killer. He's got the Argent. So you obviously play that Argent, kill the Drake. You can use your other minions if you want to trade, or you can go face. I get the play, and he could even swipe. That's actually good too.
I like doing the swipe here. I think I would consider swipe coin Wrath. That way, I think keeping your Yeti as a 4/5 is pretty valuable. Or sorry, no, I apologize. You can't do that.
You can use the Harvest Golem if you want, but he's gonna swipe and he's gonna Wild Growth, which is equally fine.
Indeed, and that Wild Growth sets him up for the Ancient Allure on the following turn.
Certainly. Certainly. Now we've got D2 here without a swipe, so he can't clear both these minions easily. But he does have a. I think he top decked a. Yeah, I think he top decked a Druid of the Claw. It's a little behind. Yep, there's your Druid of the Claw. I mean, Keeper of the Grove. Excuse me. Top decks your Keeper of the Grove. He's going to innervate into... Oh, wait a second. He drew a swipe. Excuse me. So it's a perfect play here. My mistake. I don't know why I thought he didn't have swipe.
Gets to clear the board there, but this Ancient Allure is really going to bring Brad back into the game.
Yes, sir. He certainly will. 2 cards. He could even innervate out a Wrath, but it doesn't really make sense in this position. So it looks like he'll just... save it. He could got a pretty strong turn next turn. Could do 10 mana.
Yeah, Brad's got a lot of options next turn. Both the Argent Commander and the Druid of the Claw trade very, very favorably with the Keeper of the Grove. Now with D2 playing the Drake, I'm pretty sure you play the Argent Commander on the following turn, take out the Drake, and then probably just you may go for with Force of Nature combo. You probably go for face, ignore the Keeper, but I think you want to get rid of the Drake. The Keeper's probably going to trade for the. Brad could be thinking the Keeper's going to trade for the.
He innervates to get rid of the Keeper.
Argent Commander.
He innervates to get rid of the Keeper with the Wrath, solidifying. I think the idea here is if you use that innervate, knowing next turn you can force Savage, it makes it incredibly hard to get rid of either minion because the Keeper could have gotten rid of the Argent. So, like, now you're forcing him to get rid of the Argent, and you still win, let's see, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, you have exact lethal, unless he armors up with the Ancient of Lore.
Yep, no, I mean, pretty excellent play. I don't see D2 getting out of this one.
Wow, Brad is looking to 4-0 D2 after going down 2 games. He is so strong with Druid, isn't Brad?
Yeah, Brad loves Druid. It's one of his favorite classes. So not really too surprising to see him here going on a rampage with his Druid. He is out of lethal by 1 now, so you probably play the Cenarius and make the 2 Treants and then attack for 5 to the Fate. Or no, yeah, having the Force of Nature comment, just removing the Keeper's probably slightly better.
You're going to get so much damage by everything that's on board, no matter what they clear. And Druid doesn't have a big clear, like, even if he had like a sort of a Azure swipe, it wouldn't get rid of everything. So, yeah, I think that's going to be game. Let's see what D2 can do here. He's got a Black Knight. He's got a Wild Growth to draw into something. He Wild Growths. He draws into a Mark of the Wild. So he can actually Black Knight Mark of the Wild. Mark of the Wild's
definitely something.
Yeah. He could Black Knight Mark of the Wild. He could have also Argented Mark of the Wild. But I like the Black Knight Mark of the Wild.
I like the Black Knight Mark of the Wild better too, is because really using the Argent Commander to take out one of the 2/2s, you're losing the shield, and the Mark of the Wild is really just valuable on the Argent Commander if it has the shield. If it doesn't have the shield, the Black Knight's a lot more valuable.
With everything on there, still GG. Those minions are way too big with that Force Savage War combo. Brad coming back 3-2. Versus D2. We are going into potentially our last game if D2 can't turn this around.
Indeed. So D2's got just his Warrior deck left, which again, like I mentioned earlier, not really the best matchup for the Warrior. Probably slightly better. This particular build of Warrior is slightly better against Druid, just for its the increase in the cheaper minions like Harvest Golem, and being able to say Harvest Golem and Dark Iron Dwarf, it allows you to trade a little bit more effectively with Druid's minions.
Yeah, he's got those.
Whereas most builds of Warrior, you're kind of relying on the executes and the shield slams being active in order to be able to deal with Druid's threats. And I like Brad's mulligan here. You can send back the 5 and the 6 drop. Keep the Wrath. The Wrath will be really good. He's got an excellent hand with the Wild Growth and a Yeti with some removal for backup.
And I want to just, before we get into this game, I just want to say thank you one more time to Varanus. You stepped into cast with me because D2's playing. I really appreciate you doing that. You've been a great co-caster. More than happy to have you on any time. Thank you so much as we get into this potentially last game.
Thanks, Kobe. Really enjoy casting with you. I love casting, so happy to do this whenever as well.
All right, we got a Yeti down versus that weapon. Yeah. Taskmaster. Execute. Gotta do it.
I'm trying to think if D2, what other options D2 may have had there, but I think you pretty much you've got to get rid of that Yeti.
He could have coined Corcoran into the weapon, but I don't like it. I prefer this.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially when you've already got the Fiery War Axe. And he could have. You don't want to waste your Corcoran on the Yeti.
Not possible. Plus, there aren't gigantic minions in this deck that you're going to need to execute as much as other, like, sort of Handlock or some other giant Druid decks with a bunch of, like, 5/10 Taunters, Ancient of War, and such. So I think that's a good play for tempo here. And as you said, this Warrior is more mid-rangey. He's got a big game Hunter. He's got that Arcanite Reaper. He's got 2 Corcoran Elites, the Drakes, the Acolytes of Pain, the Argent Commanders, the Black Knight, Gromish. So this is more of a mid-rangey version than that traditional Control Warrior we see, but it's not the Aggro Warrior, as you guys are all aware.
Yeah, and going back to like what you said about Execute, it's really similar to kind of the Shaman matchup against Druid with Hexes. Mm-hmm. Like, again, those kind of really premium removal spells. Big Druid's biggest minions are Yetis, Ancient Lords, and Druid of the Claw. So you're generally more than happy to use an Execute or a Hex on those minions.
Interesting to note.
I think Brad does.
I was going to say, if D2 wins this, Brad's going to have a Shaman to take out this Warrior. And the Shaman has a good record versus Warrior. It just depends on how you play it. I'd say it's a little favored in the Shaman, but with the mid-rangey version of the Warrior, it might be pretty even. Anyway, back to this game. Clearing that minion, getting 2 more minions on board. Getting that Armor Smith is really nice. You're going to want as much armor as possible to use those shield slams. So that's a nice play right there by D2.
Yeah, note D2 not playing the Corkin Weight's a pretty easy play to remove the Keeper of the Grove, and note he's not playing that, as it gets removed really easily by the hero power, and by playing it this way, he sets up his board a lot better to take advantage of the Corkin and the Armor Smith on future turns.
Armor Smith is such a critical card for the Warrior. It's almost the most important card other than those finishers, because you can make it hard to deal with, it can armor you up, it's incredibly versatile.
Yeah, it's a really interesting card. It's in some circumstances, like in the Warrior mirror match and against other kind of control opponents, it can be a really weak card as a 2-mana 1/4. Even if it does gain you the armor, then there are niche scenarios in which you can kind of eke out a win by just gaining an insurmountable amount of armor. Despite that potential armor gain, a 1/4 is just doing so little for you that there are certain matchups where it is pretty weak.
Yeah.
But it's so strong in the aggressive, against like a lot of the aggressive decks,
Yep.
or any deck where health's really a factor.
Yep.
It's a pretty fantastic card. You've kind of seen Warrior decks go from no Armor Smiths to 2 Armor Smiths back to 1 Armor Smith, and then recently been kind of going back to 2, as we've seen a lot of bursty aggressive decks.
And as you just saw, the Dark Iron came down, buffing the Armor Smith for a little attack. Now you've got a Harvest Golem being taunted up by the Sun Fury Protector. The one thing I will say about the control matchup with the Armor Smith is you can use Taskmaster and other things to make it a threat, forcing it to be cleared. And when you have to clear that kind of a threat in a control matchup, it does give the Warrior an advantage in that matchup. But as we move forward, we're going to see this Dark Iron probably clear here. Yep. And then continuing to armor up. He's got 6 mana. Acolyte comes down. Ooh, I have a feeling, yep, Whirlwind. Pretty solid clear of that damaged Golem, allowing a significant amount of armor in that combo. Another great reason the Armor Smith is so key. The Warrior's now up to 6 armor, and a significant amount of health over the Druid. But we've got a Drake, so that Drake's going to come down. He's got to clear that 4/1, right? Uses hero power, clears the 4/1, clears the Acolyte of Pain here. Continuing to armor up. That's so much armor from that Armor Smith. Oh my god.
Yeah, Armor Smith definitely have a big impact here, and you can kind of see the power of that Dark Iron Dwarf really fit perfectly in the curve against this Druid deck, giving him a good body on the board and allowing him to trade up effectively.
I love it.
And despite Brad having the combo in his hand and scenarios, this is going to be pretty rough for Brad, it's looking like.
I'm going to try this Warrior deck. I've been using the traditional Warrior control. I'm going to switch over and try this deck on ladder. I really like it. I like its versatility as much as it's fun to play Ysera and such. So we've got two taunts coming down with Cenarius, trying to switch board control back into Brad's favor. It's going to be hard to do, though, as we have a really solid set of cards here. We've got a Black Knight. We've got a Korkron Elite. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff here to deal with it. I feel like D2 is going to be able to deal with this board pretty effectively.
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting on, I believe it's 8 mana.
9
so
with the coin.
I think I'd be... 9 if he uses the coin. I'd probably use the Black Knight here. I mean, none of these plays are exceptional, and none of his plays are terrible. So it's kind of... You could also... I'm trying to think if there's a way for him to clear the Cenarius. I don't believe so.
Because if you Black Knight Corcoran, you still have to get... You don't have the 2/1. The 1/1 can't clear the 2/2. You don't want... I think you want to use the Corcoran to clear one of the 2/2s, not the Argent, because it'll die. So it's not really a great play. Brings down... I think he's going to go... Yep, he goes down for the Azure Drake. Gets a Shield Slam. So talk about heads up. That's 9 damage. Boom! right to that Cenarius. Goes down. He's probably going to use the Argent because it's going to die either way. More armor to be had. And looks like D2 is out at a significant lead here.
Yeah, no, that, I mean, this is one of those cases where that armor switch just building up so much armor, it's going to be pretty difficult to get through that. Brad making a valiant effort this turn, though, putting in six chunks of damage, 7 damage into his face with the swipe of the 2 minions.
And that's really smart, not just to clear the armor, which you always want to do, but Warrior plays Black Knight, even in this version, so you don't want to taunt up here. Okay, we've got the weapon here, Arcanite Reaper. Probably going to use the... Oh, that's right. He can use the 4-3 to clear, the Arcanite to clear. Basically, D2 has chosen to fight for board control. He doesn't think going for damage is the best way to go. I like that. We have another charging Druid of the Claw here. So really well done. And, yeah. Back to D2 here. He's got 10 mana. He's got 2 shield, he's got 2 ways to shield up with, yep, here we go. So he's gonna do it. He's gonna use the shield block once and twice. And that is 32 damage. That is 32 effing damage. And he brings down the Big Game Hunter because he knows there's not much to Big Game Hunter out here. That's a smart play with that extra mana. Can't really coin into anything
he hasn't seen a rag out of Brad's Druid deck. I think it's pretty safe to assume that he's not playing rag right now. Yep. And Brad going for face, or no, I'm sorry, not going for face.
Going for the clear.
Going for the clear, which, I mean, I think either play is pretty reasonable here, considering that you do have... What's up?
We've got some Argent on Argent rage going here.
Indeed. But I think either play is pretty reasonable here, considering that you do have combo, you do need to get this damage, you need to get damage in. All right, top decking the Force. I mean, you got both Forces now. You need to use Force as a clear on the Argent Commander and get a little bit of extra damage in. Yep. Brad holding on to the... Brad has the Big Game Hunter. He's got to think about when he wants to use that Big Game Hunter. If he wants to use it early, or without a target, just as a 4-2 minion in order to maintain some form of board presence, or if he needs to save it in order to deal with Grommash. Brad's definitely very familiar with this Warrior list being a DKMR concoction, and so he knows there's not a ton of excellent targets for the Big Game Hunter.
Yep, but, and the Black Knight coming down too, because he saw both of those Druid of the Claws coming in cat form, so there's nothing really there unless potentially Ancient of War is coming out, but it's not going to happen. So playing that 4-5 is solid. The 5-5 Ancient of Lore drawing 2 cards, heroing up for the face, and another Armor Smith. Man, this Armor Smith is doing work. That is 2 more armor coming down, man. Execute for the finishing of the 5-5. And here we have, once again, D2 taking a commanding board presence and health lead with 33 health effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that the use of the Whirlwind means he doesn't have a reasonable way to proc the Grommash now.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think using the Whirlwind's fine, as it allows you to use the Execute, build 2 armor, and get rid of that Ancient Lore.
I think he still has one Taskmaster, right? Doesn't he have 1 Taskmaster left?
I don't think so, because I think he used one to proc and Execute early on, and then he used another one to remove an X1 minion. Okay. I'm pretty sure. I could be mistaken there.
You might be right. But, you might be right. Brad's conservative play with the Big Game Hunter is going to come in huge here. Yeah. Brad's up quite a few cards. This could actually be the turning point of the game. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And another while 36 damage. Wow. Yeah, that Ancient of Lore is huge. So yeah, the play's definitely draw 2, and then Big Game Hunter, the Grom. Honestly, I think this might be the game right here. While D2's been ahead the entire.
Yeah, go ahead, finish it off.
While D2's been ahead the entire time, this is exactly what Brad needed to come back, and the warrior deck relies a lot on sustained damage vice's burst damage, and the druid's going to have both sustained and burst damage here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think those 2 turns were the entire shift. 2 Ancient of Lores come down. That's 4 additional cards in Brad's hand. Getting the perfect draws that he needs. And, despite being at 15 health, he's going to be able to clear this board. And why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just perfect draws. It's really smart play on Brad's part, hanging on to that big game hunter. We were talking about that earlier. Like, should he use it to create a board presence, or should he save it for the Grom? And while it's definitely fortunate top decking the 2 Ancient of Lores, having that big game hunter to remove a threat that would very easily end Brad's druid streak here. Yep. It was a very, very smart move.
Actually, I was talking about the big game hunter of D2s playing against the 2 Druids of the Claws, but yeah, I absolutely agree. Whenever you're playing against a warrior, keeping the big game hunter, even in mid-range, is critical. So really, I didn't mean to imply that Brad was just lucky.
Oh, no
really,
worries.
really solid play.
Let's do some math here. Does he have lethal? He's got 14 plus 10 is 24. Plus 8 is 32, so just a couple damage off. So pretty much guaranteed lethal next turn, especially with the 10 damage incoming.
Oh my god!
Just from the minions on board.
Brad coming
so
back.
Huge turnaround here.
Yeah, that Brad was way far behind. Comes way back. 2 Ancients of Lore to bring him back into the game. Some really good heads-up play, and it looks like this next turn he will force Savage into the win. A Drake, though, let's see what he plays with this Drake. He gets a Ragnaros, cannot be played, unfortunately. And
no YOLO rags this game.
No, and it's going to force, even though he's out of cards, his entire deck used. Double forces, double Savage Roars, no force. And look at that.
Every card.
Brad uses every card in his deck minus the 1 to take out D2. That was a fantastic series and a great comeback by Brad. I gotta say, really well done. And good play by D2 as well. Okay, so let's talk about this. So you're playing against D2. D2 successfully takes out Ignite in some really solid play. D2's up 2-0. No one's taken 2 games off you yet. Are you nervous? Are you a little nervous at that point? Be honest with us, no bullshit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was nervous. I know D2's an awesome player, when I was down 2-0, I thought Druid had to pull through again today, and it did somehow. I beat his Shaman, which usually isn't a great matchup for Druid, but I think it's closer to 50-50 with the double combo. Mm-hmm. But, I won that, and then went good from there.
Yeah, dude, your Druid is...
I think I'm 12-0 with that Druid now.
Yeah, I was going to say, your Druid is unstoppable. Unstoppable at this point.
Yeah. I had to work harder for the wins this week, though. I didn't draw Wild Growth every game. I think I drew 2 of them, though. But that last game, I was so far behind. I had the Wild Growth, but I didn't have any big minions to play with it. I just had, Sun Furies and stuff.
We were talking
there were
about
really
that.
Awkward turns there until turn 6.
So you come back, you come back 3 games versus D2, and you get not the best start, not the best mid game. You're far behind. Varanus and I are talking about how D2 is going to push this to a game 7, and then within 2 turns, you're ahead. The board's cleared. You had 2 Ancients of Lore. Talk us through what happened in that game.
Yeah, I felt like I was behind the entire game, and actually I forgot that he still had coin in his hand, so I guess, that was -1 card in his hand, but I was just, every single turn, I was just I needed the Ancient of Lore, and I finally drew it, and that's what put me right back in the game, for sure. I needed that, the draws. I had the combo in hand, but he had so much armor, and it's what am I going to do with 14 damage when he has 47 health?
And you certainly, you brought your Druid of Claws out in cat form. You got that armor off. What do you think was the turning point? Was it just those Ancient Allures? Is that what was critical to the win and nothing else?
Yeah, it was definitely the turn 17 Ancient of Lore top deck. That's definitely what won me the game.
What about keeping the
sure.
the big game hunter? Varanus and I were talking about the keeping that big game hunter and for those critical moments like the Grommash.
Okay. Well, I'm very familiar with that deck. I played Kisser earlier while he was playing against my Druid. I think he beat me twice in a row with it, and I knew it played the Grom and the Rag, and I knew if I didn't keep the big game hunter, if he got those out, I would have had to like combo on him, and I needed the combo for a finisher. So I needed to keep that big game hunter for sure. I was just relying on top decking the Ancient of Lore, which I ended up doing, obviously. So yeah,
Well,
I felt like I couldn't play it.
We're curious to hear your thoughts on keeping or mulliganing Yeti. I know a lot of times when I play Druid, I'm pretty hesitant to mulligan a Yeti unless my hand is really, really poor. Otherwise, you seem pretty eager to mulligan Yeti in a few cases. What are your kind of your scenarios where you keep Yeti or scenarios where you mulligan Yeti?
All right, I usually keep Yeti when I have either Interfade or Wild Growth. If I don't have either one of those, I always just toss it right away.
Because
it's too slow, in
it's
my
effectively
opinion.
a 2 or a 3 mana card at that point.
Yeah, and like there was a game, like I was really confused on the mulligan. I had like a 2, 3, 4, and 6 drop.
Yep.
I had like Sun Fury, Harvest Golem, Yeti, and Argent Commander. Yeah, and I ended up keeping them all. I don't know if that was right. It was a Druid mirror match, and I guess I'm not sure how it would have played out if he did have the Wild Growth, but I just felt like the curve was so good that I was just gonna play it. And I don't feel like I needed Wild Growth for like a curve like that. So, like even if he has a Wild Growth, he'd still need a minion to play every turn. So,
I agree with you there. Like we talked about that a little bit. I really like that keep, largely because like the odds of him having a hand that can keep up with that hand are pretty low. Even if he has the removal or has the minions to match you or has the Wild Growth, like you said, he has to play a minion every turn, and you're going to be playing a minion every turn. You also have a coin, so you essentially had a 2, 3, 4, and 5 drop with the Argent Commander coming down turn 5.
Yeah.
Right.
I also think that what was interesting about that situation was that with the Argent Commander keep, you went face with your minions right before that Argent Commander came down. You chose not to trade. Then when the Argent came down, there was a Azure Drake as well as a Yeti, and so you used the Argent to trade with the Drake. You then used a combination of things, including your Yeti, to trade with his Yeti. So you like set up a play a turn ahead of time. You might not remember it exactly, but basically that's what happened. And you knew that Argent was coming on turn 5, which wasn't going to be expected from D2. Certainly he could expect an Argent on turn 6. He did know you had the coin, but to sort of anticipate that seemed tricky. And maybe he did, but I thought it was a really nice play.
thank you, sir.
Cool. All right. Anything else, Varanus? You want to talk to Mr. D2, Mr. Brad about?
No, just congrats, Brad. Keep tearing it up here on the DKMR Invitational.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hopefully, like I said, didn't I say 4-1, 4-2? I'm okay with that.
Yep. We're
not going 4-3 though. That's too
no 4-3s.
too far, man.
Well,
that's too hard.
Yeah. So next week we have Alchemixed. So we all know Alchemixed. If you play Hearthstone or you watch it all, you know who this guy is. He's a good, solid player. He's on what, Curse? Curse is Alchemixed. So we're looking forward to that next week. Everybody, please tune in. There's going to be some great games. Brad, what are your thoughts?
DKMR.
Former DKMR player, that's right.
Indeed.
So, Brad, what are your thoughts on Alchemixed and next week's matchups?
I'm excited, man. I played him quite a bit when he was on the team. I think we're only on the DKMR together for a few weeks, but he's definitely a strong player. I mean, Curse picked him up. They have a very strong team. He's obviously a good player. I haven't played with him in a long time, so I'm guessing like I got better since then, and he got better as well. So I'm kind of excited to see how we'd match up if he does make it to play me.
It's going to be a great matchup, you guys. Please tune in next week. That is a wrap. And do I have a bumper? There's a bumper. Anybody follow me?